We had the two sessions previously, and those two sessions were focused on that how industry has to gear up for the next 50 years business in the era of technology evolution. The technology is going to grow in the format of AI. So we had one session which was on the collaborative journey of AI, agentic AI, augmented AI and humans. With the vision of next 50 years, that means we were imagining that we are sitting in year 2076 and we look back to 2026 and we can see the journey, progressive journey of human and machines. That was one. The takeaway from that session was that there will be a collaboration between humans and machines, smart machines, intelligent machines, artificial intelligent machine. And for that, human creativity need to be at its peak. The conventional formats of human creativity and human intelligence will not work. Humans need to be more smarter than machines to make machines smarter. Otherwise, after a few years, we are going to create dumb machines. So the second session was focused on knowledge pooling. A company need not to have all the brains and brilliance within the one roof. You can acquire the specialists across the globe. You can have the pools from different companies. So there's a collaborative human resources, human knowledge resources put on the table as required to face the collaborative journey or challenging journey of the next era. In the same series, we have a third session today where we talked about first session machine and humans, second is human and human only, how the human has to increase the knowledge. Now the third topic, you have put human and machine collaboration, you put human and human collaboration, how human knowledge can be assembled, how it can be arranged together. Am I right? And the today's session is on what strategy need to be adopted by the companies in the era of next 50 years. So today is about strategies, supply chain strategies, strategies of localization in the industry, which need to be addressed for coming years. And as I say, I am at the age of 58 now, but many of you are young. You are below 30 and you are going to work in the industry for next 30 years at least. And in that scenario, you are going to pass through all these challenges. You are going to pass through all these processes. You are going to pass through this environment. You will be part of this industrial environment for next 30 years. And you need to be ready for that formats. That's why these sessions are very critical and very important from that perspective. Business as usual will not work. Monotonous approaches will not work. Routine procedures will not work. You will have to be creative. You have to think out of the box. You have to breach the processes in a fair way when it is required to meet the objective. So you need to be ready with more better tactics and strategies. The presentations will be very simple and self-contained. You can use it for your study purpose, don't worry. Adaptive strategy and strategic localization. What is the meaning of this subject today? Is a modern management approach focused on building flexible business models. Flexible. You know bamboo, correct? Bamboo is flexible. It takes the shape. So imagine an iron rod and a bamboo. So the business need to be like a bamboo. Flexible business models and resilient supply chains to withstand global market volatility. Last 4 or 5 years, globe has seen, last 5 years, COVID, post different war scenarios across the globe, impacting supply chains, deficiencies in the globe. Only and only the flexible business model with resilient supply chain and proper strategy could support such scenarios. Each and every part of the globe has a right to get what they deserve, what they need. So the conducive environment required to be maintained in all the odds. And what are the core pillars of this adaptive strategy and localization? We are going to go in details on them but to give just a opening on the subject, I'm trying to make it a very simple explanation in the beginning so that you can understand where we are going to get through the subject. So what are the core pillars of this adaptive strategy or localization strategy? So the first is real-time agility. And what is that real-time agility? Replacing rigid long-term plans with continuous data-driven operational pivots. Don't keep believing and trusting on your long-term plans which you made 5 years before. You need to update your plan in real-time mode. You need to correct yourself every day. That is called real-time agility. And this is to be a data-driven, information-driven. I assume, I presume, I think will not work. Data will work, and using the data, what action you take will work. If you need to change your position 10 times a day, change your position 10 times a day because you are objective-driven. Second is scenario planning. What is scenario planning? Preparing parallel execution strategy to handle sudden economy or regulatory shifts. You have to have plan A, B, C. You cannot stop at, okay, what is your plan B and we stop. No, you need to have your plan C, your plan D, your plan E. You should have multiple complex parallel plans. Suddenly somewhere tariff increases because this is not about one country. The product which you are supplying, suddenly the country increases the tariff on that because they got their local production group. What you will do? You need to search another market. So at that time, if you start searching the market, it will be too late because somebody already searched the market and got impacted because of the increased tariff between a specific country. Already you are a supplier, another your competitor was also a supplier. But because they increased the tariff, you have to see another global market. So if your competitor has checked the market, he knows about it, he will reach to that market before even you. So you need to have your homework done correctly. You need to have a pre-alignment with the countries about the tariff. Okay, on this particular product, if you increase the tariff, I will counter-argumentally, I will increase my tariff at my end. So let's do a counter-balancing with each other. That means you have to have 2-3 plans minimum on the subject. Strategic localization, shifting from single source global supply chain to regional and local suppliers network. Why we say increase the localization? Why we say that depend on the local resources more? Because any regional disruption across the globe will impact your supply chain. The least impact could be on your own manufacturing, unless otherwise it is not depend on anything. It is 100% within the country. The companies expand their business from one country to another country. So first what they do, they start producing in country A, then slowly they see that they get a good market in Africa or any other country, so they start opening a manufacturing premises there. So tomorrow, even if there is a disruption, they can still maintain the market in South Africa or any other country by manufacturing in the same country. Definitely it gives a business opportunity, is given employment opportunity to the local countryman. At the same time, any impact on the global supply chain will not disrupt the supply to the particular country. Clear? Circular operations, implementing closed loop recycling and remanufacturing to mitigate raw material scarcity. We all know that there is always a recycling, remanufacturing, reuse is 5R are in a very focused area to preserve the Mother Earth. What they say that the aluminium which is being used right now is also used as a recycled portion also being used. So one of the prominent material is aluminium, which is being reused and recycled to make the new aluminium-based devices, wires, gadgets, everything. But still, aluminium ore, we are producing new aluminium. We are producing aluminium ore, so get the fresh aluminium on the earth. But it is estimated that by 2050, whatever aluminium already produced on the earth will able to sufficiently meet the requirement by recycling. That means you will not require to go for fresh mining on the aluminium ore. So the question here is, we need to focus on recycling also. Like couple of countries, they banned the sale of steel scrap because they want to recycle that to produce the steel within their own country, so that they are least dependent on import. So that's why the circular operations is also very critical and very important to maintain the self-reliance. The objective is self-reliance, by the way. The company has to survive, the strategy has to be adaptive, strategy should give a location for localization, but at the same time, self-reliance towards. We already seen this in the previous slide, which is high agility planning and resilient localization. The real-time agility is nothing but a death of static 5-year strategic plan. There's nothing called now this 5-year strategic plan. It gets, the day you make it, next day it expires. Because the world is volatile, the things are changing very rapidly. Your paper, what is you written today, you cannot hold it for next 24 hours. So 5 years has no meaning. And see, I'm just having an example. Netflix strategic pivot. Static plan failure. Fixed 5-year subscriber targeted collapsed as streaming competition surged. Correct? You target them for 5 years. No. There are computers available at better prices. How you hold them? Real-time agility. Replaced long-term goal with quarterly pivots, rapidly introducing ad support plan, password sharing limits, and live events based on the real-time viewers data. So they need to change that plan. They need to go for a quarterly measurements. They need to go for some advertisement support. So ultimately, the interest of long-term plan, which becomes rigid, which becomes not usable, I will say it's a rotten actually. You don't feel something fresh about it. Then, but at the same time, now every quarter bring some new scheme. Give some, okay, you can use multiple user. I'm giving you two user get extra. So this is how you can work on that. Why static plan fails? Okay, I think by this time you are very well aware, but I'll just read one example on the screen right now. Automotive supply chain crisis. When global chip shortage hits, remember that there was a chip shortage, okay? Outdated data. Fixed annual forecasts failed overnight when supplier lead times spiked from 12 weeks to 50 plus weeks. There was a forecast data with a delivery date of 12 weeks, but actually the delivery was gone to 50 plus week, almost 1 year. So the data was not updated in time, and suddenly the 12-week delivery cannot become 50. It was gradually increasing, but we were still holding the old data. Real-time approach was missing. Agility approach was missing. Execution lag. Multi-layer corporate review chains took months to evaluate and approve alternative semiconductor specifications. See, procedure is there to change. Procedure is not there to follow blindly, even when you are in crisis. You are in crisis today because your process and procedures did not allow you to failed to alarm you. So the point important here is that do not waste your time on the procedures and processes. Review them, check them. Do they need an improvisation? Do they need any ethical, more fair input should be given to it? Any improvisation is required? Do that. Asset lock-in, third point. Capital tied up in rigid single-specs assembly lines left fleets of nearly finished vehicle sitting idle in parking lots just because of the chips. Almost 99% vehicle was ready but could not be launched because chip was not there. So this is how the static plans, when they don't work, they create a problem. Dynamic strategy execution. Okay. You will find here the real-time agility matrix, flexible capital allocation in the 2 blocks. But let me just go by the examples directly. Airbnb during COVID-19 pivots when global travel stopped instantly. So who got the hit? Airbnb, we know very well. There's no doubt in that. Am I right? Zero-based strategy reserves. Cut what they did now. Almost 800 million, okay, non-essential marketing within 48 hours. Just drop all the ads, marketing ads. So there is no advertisement at all. All marketing ads have been withdrawn. All marketing system has been withdrawn. SaaS modular infrastructure. Reduce third-party liability because Airbnb has taken a lot of servers on the loan. Lot of cloud computing because there are a lot of logics are going on across the globe. Immediately subscription stopped. No business, no subscription required. We drop our contract right now. If they would have not done that, they would have had a lot of great claims because see, everybody wanted to earn money at that time. So it could be only by claim. So Airbnb withdrew their services from all the cloud computing and all third-party software services. Smart move. Cross-functional talent pools. Shifted hundreds of software engineers and marketers overnight to scale up the new online experience platform. See, a call center fellows, what they will do? Nobody's calling at the call center, correct? Now, nobody is visiting your site. So, to online experiences platform, preserve them, make them ready for the time to come because this is the best time to correct your mistakes. And Airbnb was knowing that this is a temporary halt. As soon as the lockdown will be removed, suddenly there will be a boom in the transportation industry, logistic industries. So they created, their in-house teams created more better dynamics, more better experience platforms. This is how human resources have been used at that point of time. This is a good subject for MBA and BBA, by the way, and all the management students, by the way. That whenever there's a tariff hits happens, almost 80% of the organizations, they get immediate financial pressures. So this is always a good subject when there is a tariff fluctuation happens across the globe or within the two countries, how the export and import get impacted. And then it comes down to an individual committee, it comes down to individual organizations, is an individual business house, that you need to study how your firms get impacted. Sometimes steel industry get impacted, sometimes iron industry get impacted, sometimes your pharmaceutical gets impacted, sometimes software gets impacted. So we need to be very clear, crystal clear about the tariff impacts, which is one of the most vital fluctuating item in the global market. Custom duties fluctuations, tariff, dumping duty impact, everything. Scenario planning, the second pillar, scenario planning. Shell Oil in 1973's OPEC response. Static failure. Competitors assumed steady oil price and linear growth. OPEC prices. Constant prices assumption is a big assumption. Scenario planning. Shell pre-built plans for an OPEC embargo, instantly switching refining routes when crisis hit to jump from 7th to the 2nd among global oil majors. Whenever there is a crisis, you should see that crisis in advance. Try to mitigate that crisis in advance. Okay? And what is that exactly? How to do that? That's scenario planning. The step one is detect. Real-time telemetry detects weak geopolitical and market warning signals. You need to detect that there is a problem coming. Remember that in one of my sessions I always say, how to resolve the conflict. The best way to resolve the conflict in the office premises or as a leader, it is your challenge always. So how to do that? Only one thing is the best tool before anything you do is smell the conflict. Smell the conflict. So similarly, when I said detect the problem, that means smell the problem before it occurs as a problem. With the help of data, real-time telemetry data, real-time market survey. Use it. Use your research work on that. Then second is mapping now. Create 3 core parallel scenarios. You should have plan A, B, C, I told, correct? Not only C, if required you have to go for D and D also. Not only what is your plan B and you stop, no, probably A and B both will fail. So in the current dynamic situation, you have to have more than even 2 alternatives. So baseline cases, continuous canal, continue with the routine supply chain. High friction, reroute around Africa. Reroute your path of supply chain through around Africa. Third is open market. No problem. Charter the air freights. Let's take the material with the air freights. If there are sea routes are choking. That is your map. That is your strategy map. Allocate. Pre-approved fuel budgeting and reserve backup vessel slot for the longer African route. You mapped it. You have 5 options. But can you execute it without money? No. So you have to have all the resources, whether it is a fuel, money, whatever you need to have that resources in your pocket to able to implement plan ABC seamlessly without a little jerk. What is the fourth is pivot. The canal closes, vessels immediately switch to the African route without waiting for executive meeting. No. Take all approvals. Take all strategy in one go approval. No need to wait for anybody. If A is choked at the site I am there, I will divert my fleet to the B. If B choked, I will divert my fleet via C, air freight. I don't mind. So that is called scenario planning protocols to be in place. And why they are important actually. Trigger-based strategic path clearly defines quantitative signals, currency climb, currency dips, tariff warnings, shipping index increases, shipping cost increases, that automatically initiate parallel strategy paths. Shedding non-core dependencies, actively split heavy enterprise architecture into modular component that can run autonomously under his high geopolitical stresses conditions. Big mammoth of industrial corporate world need not to run every time. Let somebody take a quicker decision based on the predefined modules across the company so that you can easily sort out the problem at the early stage. Cross-regional backups. Maintain dual-registered supplier pathway across regional block to bypass structural legal hurdles instantly. See, It's not easy to define a path once you have a problem. Clear out with all the connecting state, all your neighbors, all supply chain and logistic companies to get a solution across the things. And create a predictive modeling, mathematical modeling. Remember, we studied in last two sessions algorithmic scenarios. Use mathematics, use the real-time models to take the help of AI. This is where I'm telling you now, what I'm speaking on the screen, what I'm speaking right now here. This will be in the era of AI. These jobs will become very easy because AI will collaborate with the input data from different libraries across the world, and they will give a real-time solution to you across your table immediately on the spot. So, but the philosophy remains that you need to be part of this. Global decoupling is one of the big challenges. We all know things are getting decoupled because of supply chain issues. Okay, so when sudden regional tariff changes or maritime blockages, that leads to the delay in supply chain. Ports are choked, awaiting the sea routes to get opened. So you need to try to pre-negotiate, and you cannot be dependent only on one route. Sea, road, air. Try to look at all combinations to different companies, to different countries, so that your product can reach to your customer across the globe, even in such situation. In normal situation, it is reaching, doesn't make a difference. But in such scenarios, which are going to come up across, and by the way, this could be a big challenge looking at the supply chain concept across the time. There are going to be a mammoth of complex equations are going to happen across the globe. So you need to be ready for that scenario, even though the situations are normal, there's no war across the globe, nothing. But still there will be a mammoth of routes new routes need to be developed, new road routes need to be developed across the company to have the hybrid supply chain, hybrid logistics. Means today's logistics is very easy, by air, by road, but by road within the one country, and then by the sea routes. But there will going to be there will be an international corridors within the countries, which will be connecting two sea routes, which will be connecting one sea route and one air route. So trust me. Strategic sourcing. What is an explanation by an example? If I say Toyota regional hubs, fragile model, overseas single sourcing cause severe lines halts during port blockages. See, if you do a single sourcing, you are completely dependent on it. So if there is a supply chain, there's a port problem, what? Your production comes at halt. A resilient network shifted critical parts production to local regional hubs, ensuring uninterrupted factory lines. That's why you know that the just-in-time concept has come from Toyota. So when they had a fragile model, depending on one source, the mechanical vehicles required more than 10,000 components. I'm not talking of EV. EV will be having some few, less than 100 components. I'm just giving an example. But mechanical cars, which we are applying right now, petrol cars and diesel cars, they're having more than 10,000 components. So if some particular component depends on one source and if it failed to supply, your whole vehicle, like because of chip, all the vehicles were waiting. We discussed in our previous slides. So what they did, they created a local supply chain on that, and they created a concept of just in time. So in the morning, if Toyota need 100 nut bolts of a particular part in the car manufacturing, so the ancillary who's making that nut bolt for Toyota will bring and deliver that 100 nut bolts at the doorstep of the Toyota. Kalas, take this. Continue your daily production. Tomorrow morning again you need 100, I'm bringing 100 directly. That is called just in time. So just in time means material is produced and used. There is no in between warehouse, there is no shelf in between. So that is called the strategic resourcing concept. The resilient supplier network, geographic proximity, multi-tier sourcing, mutual alliances. These are the key factors where you need to get into the business of reliable supply chains. Localized hub and spoke model, regional logistic optimization. Okay, I'm going to read an example for this, which I liked it. Okay, Amazon same-day fulfillment. By the way, Amazon centers are not called warehouses; they are fulfillment centers. In the fulfillment centers, you store the material, and then what we do, I explained this in my supply chain cycle, sessions, that in fulfillment center, you store the product, but at the same time, when you are getting the local orders, if you have a pack of 100 and you have a local order of 5, you take out 5 pieces from that, you pack it for 5 and you give it to the local customer, last mile delivery. So that is the job of unpacking, packing, repacking for customer and giving back to the customer, delivering it to the customer. So Amazon same day fulfillment, localized micro hubs, fast moving goods are stored in small city center micro warehouse instead of relying solely on one massive central hub. No. Now every street, every area, every block is having one fulfillment center stored with something or other thing, and immediately delivers you in no time. You getting my point? Why your deliveries are so quick? Regional insulation. When I was in India last week, as I told that. So I ordered something at JioMart, I ordered something at Blinkit, very small things. You need not to worry even. You want to order at 11 o'clock in the night, order 11 o'clock. And immediately time will come, sir, your delivery is coming in 10 minutes. What else you need to tell me? Means, after this, it is almost like a just-in-time concept. That is what I was connecting with the Toyota. When I ordered at 10 o'clock, I wanted an ice cream to eat. I felt it. So I just ordered Jio. Okay, and it came, sir, your delivery is coming in 7-8 minutes, and it delivered it in 7-8 minutes. So why should I store it even? And services are almost 24/7, virtually 24/7. Regional insulation. When a major regional part or central warehouse experiences severe delays, local micro hubs automatically redistribute stocks to nearby customer within hours. And just to add a point here, remember that we have these bakalas in Kuwait, for example. In India, we have a small grocery stores in our areas, correct? Remember that? When the malls came, their business little got down because the craze was there. Let's go to mall, let's buy, correct? Okay. But remember, the last mile delivery, which is within the city delivery, is always a point of concern and point of challenge. So, the way Amazon and this Blinkit and this JioMart in India, they have created these local micro hubs. Similarly, in time to come, these small grocery stores, which are in every street, will be a micro hub. And they will become a delivery agent for last mile delivery. So, the business will be there for the small grocery stores in time to come. There will be a big potential to be an agent of last mile delivery. So the meaning here is the business cycle was a little drop for them. The revenues were might have dropped for them, but they again started gearing up. They have not come to their peak so far, but yes, they will be at their peak because of the concept of easy candidate of last mile delivery, active candidate of last mile delivery. And last mile delivery is nothing but giving a product locally from a local shop to the customer. Local shop to the customer, that's all. Circular operations. Caterpillar's Catraman. Caterpillar is an engine actually, mechanical engine. Caterpillars are located in the USA. Material scarcity. Rebuilds use engine components to like new standard using 85% less energy and raw material. Evolving mandates. Complies with strict global waste rules while cutting customer repair cost. Reuse of material is essential, as we discussed in our previous slides. So the Caterpillar has a policy, they reuse their materials, okay, when they are making the new engines and everything. Similarly, when we buy our aluminum frames and all also, in that also there are government norms. You should have minimum 30% recycled metal inside it. Then only you should sell that product. So, and it's written on that there is a recycle percentage and all, correct? So that is the circular operations. The point here to talk is circular operations is inevitable. It is going to be part of recycle, recirculation, reuse will be a greater extent will be applied across all the supply chain, across all the products which you are getting. So be ready for that. Apple cobalt and metal recovery. Price hedges using recycled robots to recover high-grade cobalt and copper from old devices, locking in raw material supplies and bypassing volatile market price hedges. See, if you are, you know that Apple, they say that you give me your phone back, okay, your old phone, Apple phone back, take the new one. So from there, that cobalt, copper is recovered from that phone and is reused for manufacturing the new phones. Regulatory compliances also are there, which is called extended producer responsibilities, EPR. That means only just sell it and forget it. No, once it is required to be thrown so don't allow it to go to landfill. Don't allow it to make as a landfill for your road building and everything. No, take it out, take the valuables from this, try to use in your new products as much as possible. Try to recycle it. Market demand, retain eco-conscious enterprise customer by manufacturing products using 100% recycled aluminum enclosure. The aluminum body is 100% from the aluminum recycling. I was telling the metal frames 30%, 60% recycle. For them, they are using 100% recyclable metal body, what Apple phone you are getting. Good. IKEA flat pack furniture model. You are going to get recycled feedstock, digital passport, regenerative designs. So recycled feedstock uses recycled particle board and ocean-bound plastic for internal furniture frames. Recycled, reuse. Digital passports, QR codes on assembly guides quickly linked to full material tracking and circular disposal paths. Regenerative design uses Click together wedges, you know that the minimum metal connections. Fix it, just put one screw and the structure is ready for an IKEA. So minimum mechanical components, same similar nature by just holding it, okay? So you can reuse it at a greater scale. I'm giving just a core example, Apple, IKEA, Caterpillar. I'm giving you some this big examples. The concept exists. Point is not that the concept does not exist. No, concept exists. The most important point will be concept will become a life cycle, concept will become a lifestyle. Each and every product, each and every organization will be going under the same path. So we need to be aware when we are making an organization for next 50 years, when we are growing up an organization, these are all ingredients of that food, that organization what we are cooking right now. Agility audit workshops. See, first of all, agility, then agility audit workshop. We need to do two things most important. Friction test and redirection map. And what is the friction test, by the way? Single silicon wafer supplied in East Asia creates a single point of failure. A 40% tariff hikes cause 5 million in downtime losses. That's the point. We need to check where the concerns are going to happen. Where is a point of failure coming and what is the plan for that? Redirection map, pre-qualify regional domestic wafer supplier and route recycled local scrap glasses to bypass supply chain vulnerability. Again, see, again I'm telling, repeating. Development of local agents. Development of local manufacturing is essential. Increase your dependency on the local supply chains. And when you create one ancillaries, that is what Toyota did actually. They created the local ancillary manufacturers, not one. For each component, they have multiple. And one can make 4 or 5 different components for them. So they have a full network, complex network of ancillary suppliers. So we need to be very cautious on that point. Okay, Monday morning executive action for these strategies. EV battery sourcing framework, I'm just going on an example right up. Zero-based reserves, set aside fluids funds to absorb sudden lithium import tariffs. We know when we're talking of batteries, lithium is right now, probably the disruption may come, technology may change, but it's going to be any change on lithium import will immediately impact your manufacturing. Friend shoring audits, shift critical raw material supplies to allied regions like Mexico. See, ultimately, the objective here is very, very, very critical. Recycle your product, take out the material which you need as a raw material from your own products. So you are reducing your fresh liability, fresh purchase liability. Go for options where you find there could be an import tariff could hit you. Keep the reserves with you. Keep the reserves with your partners. Take the supplier from another country, another route. So that's why it's a real-time information. And we cannot rely on only one source. We cannot trust on only one source. We cannot trust on only one supply chain model. You are going to work in a multiplex scenarios. And that's why human-machine interface, human-human interface will be evolving to the greater extent to meet this situation. And the concluding remark on this is the core strategic mindset says success is no longer determined by size or scale of your company, but by your absolute speed of adoption when the landscape shifts under your feet. What a wonderful word. Leadership agility principles. How big you are doesn't make a difference. What scale, what revenues, bottom line doesn't make sense. How good you are in adopting the changing scenario is your skill set. Because if the mat under your feet is removed, you may fall. So are you ready for that? Thank you.